Good morning. Oh, that's too loud in my headphones. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, and good evening. Now, I don't know what time of day it is for you, but for me, it's a good time of day. We're back at it again. It is another wonderful, beautiful Friday, and it's Friday, Saturday. And man, I just don't know my days of the week. As it's Sunday today, and we're just having a day where we're going to talk and converse, talk about what's ever on your mind. And I'm going to drop the link right now. If you're out there right now, you want to come on up, or if you don't want to come on up, I'm going to leave that up to you. And I just getting started. Just always, at least what's on my mind for on a pretty regular basis right about now is trying to figure out what else is going on in life. But I'm always concerned about what's going on with us as Black people as well. So I did pull up some notes on some things I did want to talk about today, as far as one of those today in Black history deals that I'm pretty I pretty much like those on a on a regular basis. Uh, so what's going on today in Black history? Well, I'm an HBCU grad, and one of the things I really enjoy in dealing with HBCUs at this point is talking about first or milestones for HBCUs. And one of those milestones for HBCUs today is today back in 1967. Howard University was commissioned. So that was, or rather chartered. Is what happened today in 1967. And it's one of those things that I really enjoy dealing with or talking about, because we know there's a lot of great things that have come out of Howard University. As far as HBCUs, there's a lot of great things that we can talk about with Howard University as far as alumni and the like. But it has been a bastion. It's one of the premier HBCUs that's out there today. And I'll be honest with you, I'm maybe I should have left my curtains closed or the blind drawn. It's a beautiful day out, and I'm really enjoying being here with you guys. That being said, let me do the whole YouTube thing, and I guess because it's like whenever I jump into these things, I need to make sure that I do the like, the comment, the subscribe, share the videos if you're really enjoying the content that we're putting out. And yeah, that's about it right now. So Howard University being one of the things that happened in 1967. Back in 1950, the first Black person to be awarded the Pulitzer Prize, that prize for writing, Gwendolyn Brooks. That was the first time that happened. That was back in 1950, and again, that was on today. This is on the first of May 1st. Man, I'm April Fool, and my brain is just not here today. But I'm going to be here with you for a hot minute today. And we're going to see how long we're going to be here. So, again, this is just you telling me what's on your mind. I can tell you what's on my mind today. Maybe it's an issue with me and looking at what's been out there. I'm always under the mind or of the mind of racism, white supremacy. And for me, I like to highlight the things that we've done as a community, as a people, as Black people here on this earth. And it's not just here in the Americas, but also over on the continent and all the other continents that we're on, whether it's Australia, the continent of Africa, any place that you can find Black people. I love to look at what our accomplishments are, but also the value of us as human beings and the value systems that we probably should be espousing, as opposed to the value systems that we do have and that we're looking at today. Because today the only value system that we really have is the value system of looking at money. Right? So if you're okay with that value system, I get it. I'm not telling you how to think or how to go about your day-to-day business. However, for me, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, I like to look at the value of the people as opposed to the value of money always. And I think that all of us can contribute things to society, and that we all like to contribute to society, and not necessarily just to be an individual or be a person where we have handouts all the time. And I know that that's the viewpoint of us as a community or people, that all good things come from white people and all bad things come from Black people, for lack of a better term. That's normally how that's viewed. And one of the things, I guess, let me go backwards because I said 1950. There was one thing I forgot back in 1946. I just looked at my notes again. But in 1946, and not here in the United States, but something outside of the United States, we had the very first black governor of the Virgin Islands. And he's a former federal judge by the name of William H. Hastie. And he was confirmed. And this was back in 1946 before the Pulitzer Prize winner of Gwendolyn Brooks. So there's a lot of significant things that have happened. And you know what? I said 1867 was Howard University, and I big snafu there. So 1867. That should have actually been the first one the last one on my list. I jumped the gun. I jumped the gun. In any event, let's talk about this from a perspective of the racism, white supremacy that we experience on a pretty regular basis here. In our lives, because our value systems are tied to, if you want to be successful, we chase after the things and we value the things that we're told that we need to value. And I do have something of a problem with it. So everybody, we're valuing things like you want the latest Mercedes Benz, the latest BMW, and it's not based off of anything other than how to be more of a consumer. The way that you're taught to be a consumer in our society, in our system, is based off of individuals actually not wanting to contribute to society as a whole. And that's really sad in many ways, is that not the financial aspect of it, but the viewpoint that only good things come from white people. And I think that that's where I really have the issue with the systems that we have. And what's on my mind today is that we have so much that we as a community can and do contribute. And the viewpoint is always from a negative standpoint of us as black people. And because we have such a negative, or are viewed so negatively, and because the viewpoint for us is always monetarily, it's only based off of money that we have value. So it's not about what it is that we contribute to society, or things that we've done for society, or inventions that we've had, or milestones that we've made. We're kept in a perpetual state of, and I keep on hitting this mic, forgive me for that. We're kept in this perpetual state of looking at it from the perspective that everything that we do, all the individuals that we work with, are not really any good. So if you look around in the community that you're in, it's a lot of black people in your community. The viewpoint is that most of them are not any good. There's not a whole lot good that comes from having brothers and sisters in the community. And what is contributed by the brothers and sisters in the community is not a good thing at all as well. So it's always interesting. It's something that when you look at it from that perspective, it's interesting that it's black people don't contribute anything. Look for the thing that the white people tell you that you should look for. Take and chase those goals down. So an example, like I talked about with the car. So you might have a vehicle that works very well for you, and has all the features and everything that you need for your vehicle, and the things that you actually want in your vehicle, and it's something that serves you and your family well. But that's not the pinnacle of success. And that pinnacle of success is viewed, and it is determined by whether or not you reach the vehicle or the goals that are set before you. So you might have a nice older model Chrysler that gets you from point A to point B, is something that's good enough for you and your family. Whether it's I'm thinking, wow, I just, because I was trying to think of a Chrysler SUV off the top of my head, and I went all the way back to Pacifica, but you have Durangos and whatnot, and these might have all the feature sets that you're looking for. It might have all the things that you want in a vehicle, and it might serve the needs that that you need provided for you and your family. And yet you're not viewed as successful, and everybody kind of turns their nose up at you because you don't have the latest and greatest BMW or the Mercedes or some other exotic. That's not something that's even practical or something that you really want. But in order to be viewed as being successful, in order to be viewed as someone who is making it per se, then that's something that everyone out there, they aspire to. We subscribe to these thought processes. We ascribe to these things, and we chase after them, whether they're good for us or not good for us. And we chase after these things like with our nose wide open. And it's because we're being told that this is the only thing that's good for you, or the best thing for you. I shouldn't say the only thing that's good for you. Our values are tied up in that. And that's a lot of within this, the capitalist system that's been imposed on us, where we look at value of people based on value of things. The other aspect of that is when we start looking for those things, it has the clothes that we wear. Is it Ralph Lauren? Is it this? It has and something that's designed by a black person is viewed as something that is it's kind of janky. It ain't anything that you really want, because those are things that the predominant society, that white people have said, nah, you really don't want those things. What you want this, or you want that. You want the Ralph Lauren, the purple collection, or this collection, or you want something that's tailored off Seville Street, something along those lines, where you're going to travel to Europe, you're going to travel here to these other places, and the places that we have, all of that stuff gets pulled out. I was listening here to one of the brothers, Julius, down there in South Africa, and he was talking about just in food, and because I'm always interested right now in what's going on, not just here in the United States, but how this system of racism, white supremacy permeates the globe in regards to us as black people. And it's interesting that one of the things he made an analogy, and this was a while back, but it's an oldie but goodie, but I love the analogy that it was talking about in regards to being there in South Africa. He was like, they come in and they crush local business. They crush what the people locally are doing amongst themselves, and they're able to subsidize, be a loss leader in that area to get the local businesses out. And then once they get the local businesses out, then they can raise the prices, and it still looks good to them from that perspective. And he used the analogy of chickens, because we know that the continent, Africa itself, is a very resource rich place. And it's some place that gets exploited and plundered on a regular basis. And there's no reason, at least for me, when I look at it, that it really shouldn't be a United States of Africa. If the brothers and sisters over there were able to, forgive me, something's in my eye. If the brothers and sisters over there were able to do something, as in cooperate with one another, within working with one another, within supporting one another, it would strengthen the black community there in Africa. And this is apart from having military might. So, and that's something that not something that you normally would see or normally talk about. But one of the reasons why they're able to have all the things done to them is that they don't have that military might. And so when looking at our brothers and sisters, looking at them over there, that you can have chickens they can raise chickens up over there, and locally they're able to sell their chickens to one another for, say, $10, right? So they sell them to one another for $10, and then you have somebody from America, they start bringing and importing their chickens in, and the chickens that they're able to bring in for the food process is $5, right? Obviously, everybody there trying to save more money and put more money in their pockets. If you're looking at it from that standpoint, they're going to start buying the $5 chickens, and the $10 chickens. The local businesses are going to go out of business because you have a loss leader. So they might look at it as, we just need to crush and dominate the market for right now. We'll come in there as a loss leader with our chickens, and we'll do that with our other foods and our other processes, which they've done pretty well, specifically with grains and the like, where you can look at how much of that stuff is coming from Europe. In a place like Africa, a continent like Africa, that you cannot get the same type of grains or the same type of commodities there on the continent that you can get from someplace else, and it comes at a cheaper price. It's mind-boggling for me. It's something that when I look at it, I really don't understand how it is that, if stepping back, you look at it and you see the economics of it. And let me share. I guess I should. Yeah, I guess I'll make it personal. So one of the first businesses that I started back in the day was I used to sell a bread product called casabe. And it started because my ex-wife, she was from Honduras, and my suegra, my mother-in-law at the time, who has a, God rest her soul, she has a something that she did, and when she passed, I picked up the mantle. And I was trying to do it still here in the U.S. as well, and it was very interesting to me because I figured that I was going to do it. I was going to make it a bigger business than what she had it at the time. And the idea of that was to take it outside of that one particular community to other communities as well, and to get it on store shelves and everything else, and not just to have it as something that was imported uh, from Honduras coming on up here, but something that I wanted to make sure that I could, as a, it wasn't just a product that people in Honduras ate, that you had people from the Dominican Republic and other places that also ate the food. And so my goal was I was going to start marketing it towards Venezuela, Venezuelan restaurants, and all those other things. And I did that. And I got a bunch of samples, and I started taking samples around to other restaurants that I knew that that was a staple crop of their community's food as well. And the funny thing happened. This is where I started to see the support that other people have or other communities have for their people that we don't, that we should be emulating, but that we don't. And that support, or what they were doing at the time, that was really interesting to me, was I went all the way to all these places, and one of the first places I went, I'll never forget it. The gentleman, when I walked into the store and talking to him, has a showed him the sample of what I had, and he asked me, "Where is it from?" And I told him, I say it's imported directly from blah 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 in Honduras, and he was like, "Oh, Honduras." I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Okay," and he walks me to the door, and he tells me, he says, "There's a Honduran restaurant down there. There's a Honduran store over there, and there's a Honduran one over here." In other words, he wasn't buying it if it wasn't from Venezuela. Had another gentleman from Colombia who ate cassave. They eat some there as well, and from Dominican, exact same thing. Each and every single time, they asked the question up front, "Where's this from?" And in asking that question, it was like, "Oh, it's from Honduras." And for them, each and every single time, they went back and they looked at it and they were like, "Oh, okay, well, you can go down there." As a here, they only as a the product needed to be from their country is what they were looking at. And I look at it from a nationalist standpoint that they had that right. From a black standpoint, I was wondering, and I'm not knocking the nationalist standpoint for them, but that level of support, and these were white, as a white businesses at the time, a lot of white restaurants, and I, as a, because of black ones, I already had a bead on those, but a lot of the white ones, they asked where was the product from first. They weren't going to give me any kind of support. I had to find somebody else to go in there to go sell that product to them that was from their location that they had, right? So it wasn't an issue of me buying the product and bringing cassave and taking it to them. They wanted to know that the person who was selling the cassave, that was either from them, or they had as a, because they would ask me initially also. Well, that didn't even come up initially in the first one. They asked where the product was from before they even asked where I was from. And most of the people there, I take, and I know my Spanish is broken Spanish, and most of the people when I'm dealing with them, it was they would talk to me for a hot minute and and they would love the fact that I'm talking to them in Spanish, and they wouldn't even ask me where I was from initially, but they always asked me where the product was from. And I say all that to come back to that analogy that I gave you, or talking about what Julius, he talked as the brother from South Africa, what he was talking about in regards to the chickens. And why is it that we, as a community, as black people, cannot exercise that same level of self-discipline within the community? To ask, when you see these things that are put before us, and you see all of the different products that are marketed to us, where's it coming from? Who's marketing these things to us? Why should I buy it from you when there's a brother or a sister over here that does the exact same thing and does it just as well, if not better, than what you're doing, that has a better quality that than what you have, and can possibly have a better quality of service. But because we view things through this lens of racism, white supremacy, and all things black are bad or of lower quality than the white things, which are of higher quality, then we begin to look at it from that standpoint that, nah, I don't want those. I don't want the black things. I want the things that come from the white person. Why don't we take that same viewpoint, and when you're starting to look for things or look for products, look for services, why don't we look first towards our own community? And when someone comes to the door and they knock on your door and they're trying to sell you or pitch you something, why can't you ask the question, oh, where's that from? Right? Everybody else asks, where's that from? And if it's not from a brother or a sister, who makes that? Oh, that sounds really good. That sounds really good. You know what? I got a bunch of neighbors around here. I know that they would enjoy that would probably enjoy that product. Or you know what? There's another community on the other side of the tracks over there. I think that they would really enjoy that product. Or you know what? This is Third Ward. I could be in here in Houston. This is Third Ward. But what you're probably looking for is if you go across the tracks over there, or on the other side of 288, there's a community over there. I know that they would love your product. Why is it that we as a community are not able to begin to coalesce that way, to work together, to cooperate with one another in order to look at our value system and the things that we provide for one another? Why is it that we're not able to do that? Right? Why is it that in the grand scheme of things, and we look at the support that we give to one another, the atrocities that went on in Rwanda, the atrocities that went on in the Sahel, the atrocities that went on with Boko Haram in Nigeria, the atrocities that went on with the migrants that were undocumented workers that were fleeing from the South and coming up here to the Americas. How is it that when these things were happening and you had such genocide, or you had so much strife that was going on in the community that they were coming from, that were black communities, that were things going on in the favelas, and you have people that were seeking asylum here in the U.S., or people coming from Haiti to the U.S. because of an earthquake or because of a coup that happened, and they're seeking asylum, and we're seeing all the horrible things that were going on down there. Why is it that they weren't offered free tuition at Hampton? Why is it that we weren't standing with our brothers and sisters from these other countries, right? Why is it that when you see black people and they're suffering, why is it that we're not standing with them, right? We have so many different things that our pokers are in so many different fires. Even though our pokers are in a lot of fires, whether it's ADOS or FBA or something along those lines, how is it that it's also not in the fires of let's look and see how it is that we as black people worldwide are able to support one another, right? That it's not just I stand with Ukraine or whatever that the new thing that comes out. And we know a lot of that is driven by finances. We know a lot of that is driven by how do you sit there and get more money out of these countries. And we do this a lot because we get these NGOs that go over to other countries to offer aid, which essentially is crushing down or stepping down on the communities that are there and the stuff that they're already doing. So I'm not exactly sure why it is this happens for us, why it is we haven't been able to look at it from that perspective and to make the adjustments necessary in order to get out of the morass that we're in. Why it is that we keep on buying in to what it is that we're being sold, and why it is that we don't have that kind of solidarity and unity that I experienced. Like I said, in that first business, like I said, when I was going to other countries, like I'm going to pitch this product, I'm going to take this product to these other cultures that also use this product, cassave, right? Which is a bread product, by the way, but it was something where it's like you're taking it to these other cultures, and it's like, oh, well, Venezuelans eat it, and from the Dominican Republic they eat it. It's not just in Honduras; it's in all these other places where they also consume this product. So I know I can sell it to them as well. They eat it, so I'm sure they'll buy it as well. And the answer was no. Right. So I jumped through all the hoops. I got FDA approved. I got sent as I got all my nutrition, all the stuff that I needed to, sent it to all the labs. I'm 3 sheets to win legal. And their answer was they wanted it. They only wanted it if it came from their country, right? It's like, oh, well, there's a Honduran spot that's down the block, or there's one that's over there. And I would love for us at some point, and it's not even, and this is not a point of being hate against other communities, right? That's not what this is at all. And I know it probably comes off that way when you say that, no, we need to sit there and we need to strengthen our own community. That automatically, and that's another thing that enrages me when we talk about doing well for us, doing good for ourselves, and building up our community, is automatically viewed as self-hate, or not even self-hate, but hate towards others. That's racist. Why wouldn't you want to give your money to the white man? Why wouldn't you want to do that? And it's not that you couldn't sit there. So, as that's the majority of all the products that's out there in this capitalist system. But why can you not support other black people? Why can't you support other black business? Why is supporting black business viewed as racist? Why is thinking of black business first viewed with a very racist, racial overtone whenever you state it, whenever you talk about it, whenever you mention it? Why is it that when you talk about the community, and you put the community first, and you want to see the community grow because you recognize that there's an issue that's there, and you see, okay, well, in order to address the issues that we have, we need to be able to support the community. The answer isn't in the integration of communities as we've been taught. We tried that for so many years. We tried that since King, and that is not working. It does not work. You get a few that are able to get out of it, and then once they get out of the morass that we have that we're struggling with, the goal is to not be black anymore, to move away from brothers and sisters. That once you making it means you get away from, you get away from your brothers and your sisters. Not only does making it mean that you get away from your brothers and sisters, but you don't associate with them even to that extent anymore. And that's where I really have the issue or the problem. Or you look down on them, or you look at them as if they're less than, that they don't deserve your support, that they don't deserve that leg up to sit there and take your hand and reach it back and say, come on, brother. This is how I made it. Let me help you make it. And I need you to support me because I'm going to be supporting you once you get your thing up and running that's online, right? And instead of me pushing my money into this, well, I understand we have some other places around here, and I know, does Sister still do whatever? You know what? Let's put that money. And being perfectly honest, it wasn't until I started experiencing it with other cultures that I realized, like, the little bit that I did in the past, and I call it the little bit because if I see black business, I want to support black business. I put my money where my mouth is. And a lot of times we do things with our eateries. A lot of things we'll do perfumes, we'll do incense or whatever. But I would love to see us do things. There was in Third Ward, and because I haven't been down there in a hot minute since the whole situation that we had, where everybody was kind of like kept indoors for a long time, and the coffee spot that was down there. There was a coffee spot that was down there that was a black-owned coffee spot. Loved it. There was a black-owned burger spot that was down there. Loved it. And there was a lot of different black-owned spots that were down there that were community-based, like down there off of Emancipation and not Holman. What's that? And actually it was off of Elgin and Emancipation. So you can go to these different spots, and it's very great to get in there to go see it. And they were good for me to provide my money. There's right next to the Turkey Hut, the reggae hut was a spot where to go. Let's see what we have here. We have Sunday, right on your day, Sunday. Let's see. Peace, brother. Hoping you have a blessed Sunday. Thank you very much. We do need to strengthen our own. It starts with self-love. I always support black business. Showing love is the only way. I very much agree. And it's one of those things, like, as I said, if that's what's on your mind, I appreciate it. Because that's what's on my mind. But that's what's always, like I said, for me, that's what's always on my mind. And this was a day I just want to sit down and talk about what's on everybody else's mind. But I definitely want to sit there and see what it is that we can do to start supporting one another. And that's, I don't know. It's fundamentally a issue or a pain point for me on trying to figure out how to support one another, how to support black business and black entrepreneurs. A lot of us have entrepreneurial spirits, right? That's what when you see those D boys on the block. For me, it breaks my heart every time I see them out there selling drugs or whatever, because you see that spirit of them willing to get up, get out there and go hustle. Not a normal 9 to 5 job, but to understand on keeping their own schedule, to understand on trying to figure out how to do their product, to take the time out to put their product together, to try and get a business or a place where they're going to sell their stuff, which they call a trap, right? So all these are things where you look at it as an entrepreneurial spirit, but it's just turned in a different way. And it's a way in which, when looking at it, it hurts me because I see a lot of young brothers and sisters who have that business drive, that business acumen, that the desire to sit there and put the work in, the ability to put the work in. These aren't lazy people. And we get categorized, we get put in this box as if, oh, well, the problem with black folks is that you're lazy. And you look at these drug dealers, that's not lazy, right? What they're doing might be illegal, and it might be poisoning the community. And there's a whole lot of other things that we can talk about and that might be wrong with that. But one of the things that you can't say is that it's not lazy. They're out there, they're hustling, they're doing the thing that they need to, they're grinding, they're sitting there, they're observing, they're trying to figure out the best way on how to resolve a situation where they don't have enough money. How do they earn money? They might have done something earlier, or it might be that they're too young to work, but they see that their mama is not, has a, whatever she gets with government assistance is not enough. And a young man wants to provide more than what's being provided at the time. And he recognizes, by looking at what his friends are doing, what others are doing, and whatever it is that they're selling, that he can make a living or make a better living for the household as well as for himself. And then he's able to sit there and start. Thank you, Awesome Draft, thinking about your Pyrrhic Victories video at this point, but they're able to sit there and start getting themselves financially stable to buy the things that are being marketed to us. And that's where I really have that issue at. But if no one else really wants to come on up at this point, I don't want to sit there and, as I can talk all day about the issues that we have and possible solutions. Again, one of them being, if you see a black business. So here in Houston, I think that's what I need to, one of the things I need to do is put together a list, because there's like a spot down there in Third Ward. I need to put together, like they used to have the green book for for us as we were traveling, on where it is you can stay and you couldn't stay. I think we need to have something along those lines. The problem is that once you start doing that, a lot of times you'll have some people who want you to pay for that information to patronize other black business. And I don't think that's a great business model, because if you want to patronize black business, I think that that's something that, if we want to see black businesses succeed, is to put together a program wherein we know where the black businesses are at, and we're not charging you so that you can go spend money at a black business. And I just said a solution out loud, and I just gave myself an idea. In any event, that's all I got for you guys today. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I appreciate those of you who did show up today. And I know I didn't tell you guys at the start, and I'm going to ask you before I even jump into that. I'm going to say, if you do like the content, I'm going to ask you to give me a like, a comment, and a subscribe. The whole YouTube thing. Share the videos. Share the content that we're putting out there. And yeah, I say I love you. Hope that your day is going great. Hope that you're blessed with it. And may you always, always, always be blessed with peace. And with that, we are out. Good night, Sunday.